1 week before game day, and that's exciting for our team because they've been practicing for 2 weeks and in their minds for nothing. So I'm sure today's practice will be a little bit better and more intense than they have been leading up to this point, but we're excited about the game, and we can't wait for it to get here.
Rocky, what more have you kind of surmised of Navy as far as, did you watch the game live, the Army-Navy game?
We had recruits in, so I watched some of it, bits and pieces live, yeah.
What did you think of, I know you've seen a ton of their film now, but what are you most concerned about with them going into the game?
Same thing that we were concerned before the Army game. Other than the two of those teams, they run pretty similar offenses, they run pretty similar defenses, so they're really comfortable playing against each other, as well as the emotional state of the thing. And so both of them play extremely hard, physical, and all those sort of things. But Navy's a classic triple option offense, and it's been a long time since we've seen one of those. And they're very patient, they're very physical. It's going to be quite a challenge.
What do you think of their quarterback when they're running it? Does he run as well as anybody pretty much? Is that the whole thing?
Yeah, he's a really good wishbone quarterback. And he's the leading rusher on their team. I think the last 3 weeks he's gained over 100 yards. And the quarterback in every offense is the guy that makes it go, but in the triple option, he's the guy that has to deal it, read it, pitch it. He has to do all those things. And if you look at the Navy press release, just look at his statistics since he's been the starting quarterback, and I'd say he might end up being the most celebrated quarterback at the Naval Academy since Roger Staubach. Now, you'll never see him in the NFL because of the kind of offense they run, but, I mean, I just read him this morning. His statistics are unbelievable.
Rocky, they played this weekend. You guys had the time off. I guess, are you a believer in any side of that? Do you favor having the time off or not so much?
I think that's a 50-50 deal. I think we'll be healthier and fresher. But you're always concerned about being rusty, and they're coming off a very hard-fought game that they had to be extremely ready for, so they were sharp. They won't lose any of their sharpness over the next few days. So I think they have the advantage that way. We have the advantage that we're fresher.
You mentioned the freshness, but there have been some injuries and whatnot. Any updates on, Dakota Turner or Brandon Porter?
Dakota Turner's going to try to practice a little bit today, but he's not 100%. Brandon Porter's doing really well. He'll be ready to play in the game.
Anybody else of concern?
Not that we don't already know about. I mean, Alex Barrett's done for the year and that sort of thing.
Rocky, can you describe in detail as much as you can the difference between what a Warrior does in your defense and an Aztec does, or responsibilities, I guess?
The Aztec is a free safety and an inside linebacker. He does both those jobs. A Warrior is a strong safety and an outside linebacker. He does both those jobs. Does that describe it?
Which is harder to play?
Oh, I think they're very similar. I don't think one's harder than the other. The Aztec's in the middle of the field most of the time, so he can make plays going both ways. The Warriors are either on one side or the other, so they don't have as many opportunities to make plays because the ball could run away from them or the ball could be thrown away from them.
Yeah. And against a triple option, how does it work with the three of them?
Well, we do a lot of different things with them.
Yeah.
If you're an outside linebacker, sometimes you're going to have the quarterback. If you're a strong safety, most of the time you're going to have the pitch. The free safety or the Aztec position, he's an inside-out, we call him alley runner. He runs inside out from the middle of the ball, and he checks the dive, and if the dive pops, he's the one that saves it from being a touchdown. Then he heads on to the quarterback. If nobody tackles the quarterback, he's supposed to be the one that prevents it from being a touchdown, and And then he goes on to the pitch if he's good enough and fast enough. So one's an inside out alley runner, and the other guy is a pitch guy or a quarterback guy, assignment-wise.
And the three younger guys that you have back there this year, how have they done as far as assignments go, covering what they're supposed to be covering?
They've done well. They've gotten to be pretty good players over the last half of the season. This is contrary to what some people might think. This is the first wishbone team we've played. Now, we've played some triple option teams that do it out of the I formation, which is a completely different animal. And we've played a team that runs speed option and those kind of things, but lines up, which is Air Force. They line up like they're in the wishbone, but they don't run the wishbone. Okay, so they've seen similar formations and that sort of thing, and they do know there's a dive, a quarterback, and a pitch. They know all that. But this is completely different. The dive back hits a lot quicker. The quarterback can carry it a multitude of ways, sometimes without blockers, sometimes with two lead blockers. I mean, it's completely different offense. This is the offense I think is the best offense ever created. And more people would run it if the fans would still buy tickets.
So what is, you talk about how good it looks on the board and all that, but teams, including yours, stop it fairly regularly. So what? I don't think you stop it. I mean, they're averaging right at 350 yards a game rushing and 430-some total offense. They're the #1 rushing team in the country. Usually they score a lot of points and win games when the defense gives up big plays. So you have to be very patient, because they're very patient, and try not to give up big plays, which means they will have the ball a lot and your offense won't have it. But if you can hold the score down, you have a better chance to win. If they start popping big plays with play action pass, or the fullback or the quarterback go the distance, now you're in a scoring battle. Okay, so it's tough. I was with the team that played Navy in the Emerald Bowl, and they still hold the NCAA record for length of a drive. 26 plays, 14 minutes and 42 seconds they had the ball, went 94 yards, and kicked a field goal. After the game, their head coach was named Paul Johnson. After the game, he commended us because they did not score a touchdown, even though they had the ball 14 minutes and 42 seconds. There hasn't been a college team or a pro football team that has had the ball that long since that time, and there wasn't anybody before that. So it's still the record, and they happen to score 34 points. So just because we've had some success over the last couple of years against some option teams does not mean it happens every time. But how about having the ball 26 plays, 14 minutes and 42 seconds, and all they scored was a field goal? They got the ball with about 5 or 6 minutes into the third quarter. We didn't get it back till like 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. How long was the field goal?
I think it was 22 yards.
So they got
down by the goal line and got to fourth down, and they kicked the field goal.
Did you win?
No, they won 34-19.
So is there, I guess, going to be an emphasis on just forcing turnovers?
That's always our emphasis. The emphasis really is not to give up big plays, which means you have to be very patient when they get first down after first down after first down. And hopefully they make a mistake, or you make a tackle behind the line of scrimmage that gets them off the field. Or they fumble it, because they're very patient. I said this last week. Their fullback's going to get the ball 35 times at least, maybe more. If he's doing good, he'll get it more. I mean, that's why most people don't run this offense, because to the average fan it's kind of boring. But it's very effective.
Do you think there's a disadvantage on their part because they probably don't have the same type of athletes you guys do in running like a scout situation, or that?
I think they have a huge advantage. Yeah, I agree with you. They have a huge advantage. because we cannot get the look in practice that they're going to give us. So any size advantage or speed advantage is negated. They have all the advantages.
I guess I was talking.
That's why they run it.
Right. I guess I was talking more, Rocky, too, about their defense preparing for your offense.
Oh, I think in this game, I think both offenses have the advantage. I really do, because they've been for 2 weeks. They've been getting ready for the wishbone, right? Because that's what Army runs too. And our offense is completely different than the wishbone. I think both offenses have a huge advantage in this game.
Do you anticipate going deeper into your bench with the kind of longer possessions and then kind of pounding?
On defense, we play a lot of guys anyway, so it's really no different. It's just you can't take as many chances as you'd like to because they end up big plays. Anything else? Because I have another announcement to make. Bob Toledo is going to retire after this game. And so we're looking for an offensive coordinator. It won't happen overnight. We'll take some time to try to find out who the best guy is. When he took the job 2 years ago, he guaranteed me 2 years. And I thought he might change his mind along the way somewhere, but he didn't. So after this game, he's moving on to going back into retirement. So we're going to be – we might lose some other coaches too, who knows. Whenever you have success, you have a chance of losing coaches. But I knew about halfway through the season that this was his last year. So we're going to miss him, and I think he's done a good job. And we'll move on. That's why the talk about maybe changing offenses was started a couple, 3 weeks ago also.
I'm sure you've had a plan of candidates you're looking for, maybe some guys in-house too, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You always look at what might be available out there, and then you look at what guys on your staff have the experience and the ability to be a coordinator, sure.
And considering how much you guys got returning, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of guys wanting to get that spot on offense.
Well, in the coaching profession, there'll be as soon as we make this official, which we just did, I will start getting thousands and thousands of phone calls. So please don't call.
How do you deal with that kind of response that you're going to get for that position?
I involve the rest of the coaching staff. Anybody that I look at who it is, and anybody I'm not interested in, I have the other coaches call them back and tell them we're not interested, and then I sort through the ones I might be interested in and make contact with them and move on to look for the guy we want to get.
Why halfway through the season did you come to know?
Oh, he came and told me that this was his last year. That's pretty simple.
Well, nice to get notice, obviously, because I'm sure then the wheels started turning on what you were looking for.
Yeah, the wheels started turning on what I think's best for the program to move us forward, and maybe give us a chance to develop the program in a new or different direction. You always take those things into account when you have a change at one of the key positions.
That sounds awfully like you're looking very, very hard at a spread offense.
I am considering a spread offense, sure.
Was a chance for kind of
More than normal? I mean, more than...
No more than normal. What I'd really like to do is do both. I'd like to be able to line up in the eye and run the power game, and then line up in the spread and run the spread. Now, that's a defensive guy saying that, and so maybe that's a lot harder than I think it is since I don't coach on offense. Maybe that's a whole lot harder than I think it is.
Any comments on just what he's done for you? He said when he first came, he said you're the only coach he'd really come out of retirement for when he left.
That's because in one sense I'm the best. If you're an offensive coordinator, I'm the best guy in the world to work for. In another sense, I'm the worst guy in the world to work for.
Because you let them do it.
Because when you become the offensive coordinator here, you run the show. I don't call a play. I don't sit in any of their meetings. The only thing I do on offense is say we're punting it or going for it. That's the only thing I do on offense. So that puts a guy in complete control and complete in charge. He makes all the personnel decisions. He decides who the quarterback is. He decides all those things. So if you're good at it and successful, I'm the best head coach in the world to work for. If you're not any good, I'm going to fire you and get another guy. So maybe I'm the worst head coach in the world to work for.
A lot of people, when they hear this, they're going to be thinking Brady Hook and maybe Borges or any of those.
Brady is an offensive coordinator?
Well, no, but I mean,
Brady's a defensive guy.
I know. But are you going to be considering any names that maybe Seneca Seaman fans are really aware of?
I don't think anybody's aware of anybody I'm considering right now.
Really?
Yeah. Other than maybe a couple guys on the staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like the Oregon State thing was a pretty brief, no thank you, not interested. Does that have anything to do with kind of the open-endedness of kind of coming season?
You mean with me?
Yeah.
No, I mean, and all that contacted me were friends of the program. That's all they contacted me about Oregon State. Wanted to judge my interest, and I told them I had none, and that's the last conversation I had with any of them. So, but I don't think that has anything to do with me looking for this position. It's what I think is going to help move this program forward the fastest. Because I think we're going in the right direction. I don't know what the spark is, the one that gets us over the edge.
What you're looking for.
Because we're a very competitive football team right now, and you don't know if a scheme will get you up to that next level, or if it's just recruiting better players that gets you up to that next level, or keep things exactly the same, and that's the best chance of getting to the next level. I don't know. If you have the exact answer, I'll take it. If you got the perfect answer, I'll take it.
So you've talked about trying to recruit high school players who are coming out of spread offenses all the time now.
No, we don't say that, but most of them are coming out of – we're stuck with recruiting guys coming out of spread offenses.
Right.
Yeah.
By the same token, is it now easier to find guys who are really coaches who are much more skilled at the spread?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's a lot more of those guys that understand the spread very well than used to be. But then, I mean, now you're going to get into ifs and ands and buts. I mean, we get some really good running backs here because of the offense we run.
Right.
And as soon as you go to the spread, your running back pool goes way down. Running backs don't want to play in that spread. They want to play in the I formation. Offensive linemen, we have real good success recruiting offensive linemen because they think it's a better step to the pros to come to our type of offense than the spread offense is. Okay? We get really good tight ends because of the same thing. So you gotta worry about, okay, we're going to go to spread. Now we're recruiting against everybody else in this country at the college level that recruits to the spread. So is that going to drop our level of athletic ability down? And just because we're in vogue, that's going to help us get better? Or are we better just staying like we are now and we're going to get those really good players in those certain spots because we're one of the few that do that? That's a hard choice.
You mentioned like recruiting players and your high school guys. How important is it for you to get, find a coach before, signing day? And like, the official visits will start up in January.
I think it'll be important with one position and one position only. Quarterback, yeah.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thanks.
Rocky, I'm sorry, one more. Do the guys, the Rodriguezes, the Chapmans, the Bodens right now, do those guys' skills, and I know we talked some about this, but do those guys' skills make it more of a consideration for you to go to the spread sooner?
No, I think all those guys could run either offense, physically. Now we're back to the spread's much simpler mentally. But physically, all three of them could run either style of offense. They all have running ability.